All right, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 54 of the Sparkcast. Joining me today is Spark Thomas of Project Spark. So, introduce yourself.
You already did all the work for me.
Yeah, but like,
Yep. So, for those who don't know, I'm Spark Thomas, formerly known as Zatarg in the community. Um, I'm one of the community coordinators here, along with Spark Brian, who you may have known from other Spark casts. Yep, we're on Team Dakota, and we work on Project Spark.
so how long have you been with Team Dakota at this point?
Now we are at just a little over 4 months.
So, has there been a lot of changes going on behind the scenes, or is it like largely static?
Oh, wow, that's kind of a funny question. No, there's like tons of stuff. I mean, do you mean like as far as what we're working on, as far as like
Hey, listen, you're
staff?
the one that knows what I'm asking before I ask it, so you tell me what has changed.
Uh, I mean, quite a bit. I mean, I guess I don't really know what you're going for.
Well,
Uh,
all of it basically. Like, you know
yeah,
what's changed, so just tell me what has changed, whether
you
it be
know,
what one direction or another.
yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen like a transition, I guess, since I've like been here, as far as like our kind of the mindset and like priorities. Like we're very much into giving the like I would say like like obviously I think before there was a lot of like thought about like providing what the community wants and stuff like that, but there's also like priorities along with like wanting to fill out like the Project Spark universe and like very be true to our lore and all that kind of stuff, and those things are still pillars, but I definitely think like that stuff has taken more of a backseat to like delivering exactly to what the community wants. So I think like that drives a lot of the discussion like all the time what the community is looking for. Of course that used to be like always a priority, but I feel like that's like the highest now for sure is what the community is asking for. Creators have definitely big one of the bigger transitions I've seen is a focus on creators and making sure that we give you guys all the tools and the assets and things that you guys need to make the best creations. And so there's definitely been that focus there. So there's less concentration on like play experiences and things like that, more concentration on like giving everything that the creators are looking for to make the best stuff. Yeah, I mean, we say it over and over again, but like, the community makes all, there are the experiences that are, UGC or whatever, that's like where Spark really shines. And, we've, Champions Quest and, Conquer Episode 1 and all those things, they're there like as inspiration, like this is what you can do in Spark. But I kind of feel like that, inspiration phase is job has been kind of done where like, the people know how to use Spark and make really good creations and can see what's been done. So, and the community shows us that every week, that really high quality stuff that gets made now. If all that makes sense. So yeah, and then otherwise, like, I mean, I can't wait till, obviously start talking about, I know we've been coy and we continue to be coy about um, some of the,
Every
longer term stuff that we're working on. But believe me when I say that we're working on some really cool longer term stuff. Uh, so we're getting close. I mean, I can kind of tease that like you'll kind of hear more about some things um, toward the end of this month. So that's about what 2 weeks is when
ish.
July is over. Yeah, around 2 weeks or so. So kind of expect you'll know a little bit more, a little bit bigger picture, not like everything, but a lot better idea of some stuff going on. So I'm really excited for that to finally get out there. We're doing a lot of work, especially on the community side, actually, and we're kind of helping out with some other things to get ready for that announcement on the end of July. So that's gonna be really cool.
Do you have a specific
And
date at the end of July, or
huh?
specific date for the end of July,
No, no specific date. Like I know a date we're targeting, but in case
which
we slip
is?
or anything, no, I'm not gonna be specific on that. But
All right.
as we get closer, and then the other thing, like I'm sure for everybody who's been keeping track, so our Thursday streams, right? That we talked about and introduced the idea of Sparkisodes on last Thursday. I know the week before that we like jumped into a Sparkisode world, but you guys didn't really know what we were doing. So yeah, we just started this new like content way of experiencing and making, utilizing the new content pack, because now we're on a pretty regular 2 week, or excuse me, 1 month release cadence. So every month there's going to be a pretty good sized DLC pack coming, and we intend to do these Sparkisode episodes where we take that pack and we incorporate and do an episode and build this together with the community and put challenges out there every week, and then we'll take stuff and bring it into the episode. And then after that's all done, we'll publish a 10-minute or 5 to 10 minute video. That's like an episode with about these two characters. So we introduced them before. So there's Davin, who's the Void Jumper. He's like he's from our Galaxy's realm, or I guess Galaxy's universe is the way to say it. And so that's played by Brian. And then you have Hatch, who is played by me, and he's our realms universe person, so like fantasy setting. So it's really gonna be cool to like kind of discover those characters. We kind of put some lore behind them and things. So
So
I'm really looking forward to that.
so are the Sparkisodes the official lore exporting from Project Spark?
So I would say it's like light lore. We're definitely not taking it like super serious, right? Like we want these to be really fun, kind of machinima style. Like we want to have a good time with them. So they're not going to be like very strict lore by any means, but we also don't want to do like we're not going to be like t so terribly off lore.
That the Void
That
are the good guys or something like that.
Yeah, like we're gonna stay close. We're gonna try to stay really close to that. In fact, we're gonna poke fun at the lore. Like
Thank you.
like I'll say that like so a joke that we have like in the first episode, which we're gonna premiere tomorrow if everything goes according to a plan.
So do we watch the episode together during the live stream or
Yep, so we're gonna premiere it during the live stream, I think right at the beginning, and then we'll post it to YouTube shortly after. So that's gonna be really cool. Uh, and then we're actually gonna let me go over tomorrow's stream, because it's gonna be definitely one to tune in. So tomorrow we're planning on premiering the first episode of Sparksodes, and then that'll be the beginning, and then we're gonna jump right into working on episode 2 with you guys, and we're gonna announce the winner of the space tank competition,
which is
which
me?
so if you haven't put one in, today is the last day for it. And so for those who don't know, whoever the winner of that is going to win the next content pack. What that content pack is actually going to be announced also tomorrow. So obviously, as we're building and using it, we're going to announce what that pack is. And then there's actually another content pack that we fit in. It's a smaller one, but we fit it in between um, the bigger one, basically. So we have one coming out at the end of this month, actually. So there's a pack coming on July 30th, and we kind of tease that it's a very noteworthy pack, and I'll remain to that. But we'll announce both of exactly what those are tomorrow
So
on Straight.
noteworthy, of course, is referring to Notepad, the document where you write notes.
Right. Not quite. That's a different note we're talking about.
And so what's the next big pack? It's going to be related to space tanks, I presume?
That's the yeah. So the small pack is not the space tanks one. The space tanks one is kind of a hint to the next pack coming,
Which is
which is going to be named and discussed tomorrow and kind of talked about. Although I can say, so it was kind of funny. I decided like I wanted to share a name of a single prop from that pack tonight, and I wanted to kind of pick it very like inky. I can't say that
inconspicuous.
word. Yeah, there you go. You know what I was going to say. Kind of prop, but so the name of a prop in that pack is emergency button.
Oh, so it's going to be a Staples pack. It's kind of like the easy button of Project Spark.
There you go, yeah. So emergency button will be a prop in that pack.
So Amnesia brings up an interesting point. It's a nice transition point, so I'm not ignoring the previous questions, but this one is on topic. The Codian was the first enemy or ally of the sci-fi, and we haven't really seen him since. We haven't seen him giving any more costumes. We saw him. Did we get another blaster? No, he didn't get another blaster. So the closest thing we got was like the Codian archives. Are we gonna get any more outfits for the Codian, or is he just waiting for Series 2 or Series 3 before we start getting into more Codians?
There'll definitely be it's probably sooner than you think, some developments with the Codians actually, so stay tuned for that.
All right. Any
That's
other?
about as much as I'm gonna say there.
So what about other races as far as like either like uh, for example in Skyrim, not Skyrim. Skyrim, there's the Khajiit, there's the Argonians, and then there's the High Elves. There's the
Yeah,
Wood
anything you can do
Elves.
to sneak in your lizard man.
Hey, listen, I
So
didn't say the word lizard man.
I know I did. Argonians are pretty close though. So as far as like other races, so for like Galaxy Series 1, right, which so for those who don't know, I know it's not super talked about. Like it's an internal way of thinking about stuff. We don't necessarily share it out. It's not like public knowledge, but we like think of them as series. So there's like a Realm series, which has a bunch of our fantasy stuff together. And then there's Galaxy series, right? And so that one will kind of be coming to a conclusion here relatively soon. And yeah, the only race that's in that is so you have your Astrotex and then you kind of have your Codian, right?
Hmm.
So that's there. We're not introducing another race in Galaxy Series 1. I can probably say with confidence, whenever we do get to Series 2, there'll probably will be another race introduced. So that'll be really cool. I've seen like I've been part of discussions on there. So, but that's kind of a thing that's further out than you guys probably want. But it's more of a further out discussion for Galaxy Series 2. But as far as like realms too, I know so like yeah, there's like lizard people, there's elves is like probably the biggest omissions in like our library of content, as far as fantasy goes is like dwarves, I think, and then like elves, right?
Right.
So you have kind of, and like the way I think about them is you have like a stocky type, I guess short stocky rig for a dwarf, and then you have like
We'll call it the
it'd
Thomas
actually
rig.
be a tall body, I think, of for a high elf. But I know there's different elves. There's wood elves and what
Well,
have
I,
you.
I think they all generally are the tall rig for elves.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on actually how tall they actually are.
I haven't really seen that much of a difference as far as like from other games or tabletops as far as the height of elves. It's more of just their costumes and like their complexions and stuff like
Features and
that.
stuff. Interesting. Yeah, so like we do know that those are emissions like in our like basically holes in our content offering. And so yeah, they're that's like not I can say uh like totally honestly that those aren't like both of those races wouldn't be like super near future either. We have definitely things planned before then. But they like those they get brought up in always discussions on where we want to take fantasy next and things like that, like about introducing like different
So
characters and stuff.
back in beta, I remember a lot of the talk being that tech was holding stuff back. Um, like if you want more characters released now, then they're not gonna have faces, they're not gonna have skin, that sort of thing. Is tech one of the things that's holding back?
I don't know about faces or skin.
Oh, that was actually one of the things. Like,
No,
we were waiting until
that
after Hippo before we could get more characters, because we were told if there was another character released, they wouldn't actually have hair or skin.
no, yeah, I don't know what that is.
But like, would tech be something that would like make maybe push back some things? Like, if you know that you're gonna be bringing out some animation editor, and you have to wait until the animation editor is made before you can start making new races, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's always things we need to push like on our engine and tech stuff for different types of things we want to do. So like a good example of that in action is like Conquer and is like tail physics, right? So that was not tech that we had in like to actually have like a tail that moved like a tail and did
a
all
flag that
this.
moves like a flag.
Yeah, like so all that stuff wasn't in there before. And so like with that character, we decided like we had to have a tail that was actually a tail. So the work was put in to get that tech to get ready for that. If we wanted to do, I don't know, throw out, I don't give me a character who's a kind of crazy character.
From Spark or from?
Anything like a character that you imagine is just like a complicated character.
Oh, sure. A wyvern.
Sure. So like that obviously would be very different from our characters like in game and would have like a lot of tech asks in order to get implemented. Just because of like the whole animation set, right? And then also like with a character like that, like you'd have to really consider scale. I mean, so right, so for those who don't know, you said a wyvern, right?
Yeah,
So like it's a dragon
a
basically.
dragon without legs.
Yeah, it's basically what just two limbs instead of four, and but it's two legs and wings as opposed to arms, right?
No, I've seen it both ways actually. I've seen it with just
Yeah,
wings or
there's like very yeah, probably somebody in chat will correct just because I know there's a huge difference between,
a
and it's
wyvern, a
about how many
worm, a
arms they have.
dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, like, so yeah, there's a lot of tech asks for doing, you know, basically any characters that are different from the ones that we have in game. If we wanted to do like, one of the highest content requests actually is like a spider character. Spiders are really cool. Obviously, like 8 limbs and doing all this stuff. And that one, I mean, if I was gonna have a spider, like I would want a spider that can climb on walls and do all these really interesting things and stuff that our other characters, like our characters right now, if you try to get them to climb, do perpendicular stuff to walls, it's not the greatest experience. Uh,
So you would
so
want to wait until that tech was ready to actually add a spider character.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's definitely like a an attitude too with the month like the monthly release cadence that we are kind of going into now and hopefully want to keep consistent. It's really about like when we do ship something, it's going to be really high quality and have everything there, and it's going to really be like an impactful pack. Uh, we don't want anything that's like lackluster, people did not get excited about. Like, and actually, like, that was one of the things, like, so I can speak to this honestly, like, as a community member before I was hired, it's like after launch of Spark, and it was like release after release, and it was like week after week, like, it was kind of getting old actually, and you wouldn't even keep up necessarily on what was like the new and greatest thing, like, in the pack. And then they kind of felt rushed, and you also were like feeling a credit crunch because there was so much stuff. And I think it's the new method of like celebrating each one, having it not, each one kind of feeling more of a filled out pack, and it feels like it's not very missable, right? It's not
Well,
easy to
that and
dismiss.
there was a feeling of when you got something from a pack, it was just one pack, and you were never going to get the stuff that was missing from it because it was already released.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's a just like a general thing, right? Like once something goes out, if it went out and it didn't include what you have a lot harder time going backwards, right? In adjusting that.
I mean, we're
Uh,
hoping for Dungeon Pack Part 2 to fill in like the curved stairs and broken walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, right, and that's like the thing. So like, and it'll be, if we do a dungeon pack too, that has more of those like filling, the stuff that we missed, and then like on top of it, like, man, I already like if I wanted a dungeon 2 pack, like I'm with you guys, like how
You want
cool would it be to,
skeletons.
yeah, I want like a skeleton people, I want like rats, I want like all this whatever stuff that like you know, fill my dungeon in, cobwebs and blah blah blah. I will say the void web actually makes a really good cobweb. Um, but yeah, like I want all that stuff too. But yeah, it just depends. Like, and I actually think there's enough there that's interesting for a dungeon pack 2 where a follow up to that makes sense.
Yep.
Uh, Other ones, it's not so much, right? Like,
Haunted Cornfield 2. No.
yeah, like exactly. That's a perfect example of like pretty much what was there, and then if there was like a pack, a couple props that were like, oh, missed opportunity, that would have been good to get in there. Really, besides like trying to do treasure trove items and stuff, that's treasure trove is like the perfect example of our one way to get like oddball props back into the game that are in like really good wish fulfillment.
Otherwise,
There.
they would be in limbo.
Yeah, so like that's like an honest thing. So we're there's some really cool stuff coming to the treasure trove. That's just a tease, I guess. I always really like how we're kind of on this like doing the companion set. Like so this week's the Void Sword. They go along with the release of Void Corruptor. We kind of have a companion piece with packs going forward. And then we also have just other stuff kind of sprinkled here and there. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Treasure Trove is like I like that's like when I think Treasure Trove does its best, right? When there's kind of just like this really nice like new thing you can use, and it's kind of a break in between. We try to like offset it, right? So it's but there's like the companion piece, and there's also kind of an interesting one maybe during like the off weeks between releases when like the third week after a release or what have you. Um,
So I do have a question,
yeah.
and this goes to the community as well. Like, if there was a piece of tech that you guys were considering, I know I have requested this numerous times, including blog posts and whatnot. Uh, like in EverQuest, there was the ability to have one piece of armor automatically scale and fit other races.
Yeah, so what that tech is called recaging, and I'll say like it's very, very, very difficult to pull off and do it well, especially like the way our game's built.
Exactly.
I mean, to be honest, like all of like our game is not built for it right now for recaging. So like to go in and implement that would be like huge and obviously a huge perk, right? If all of a sudden my human can wear the Codian armor and
And your
my
brute
Codian
can
can
wear all.
wear all the adult, male outfits, like all of that. Obviously, there's a huge gain involved there.
It would
Um,
dramatically increase the amount of stuff the brute could wear, like
Oh yeah,
dramatically.
yeah, I know the Brute as is what he's still limited to just two outfits, the Legendary Arsenal and the Royal Court. So he's a king and a blacksmith.
Right. So my
Um,
question, like to you and to the community, was if it meant we had to wait to get the elves, the dwarves, the um, whatever else races or female brute, children, whatever. If we had to wait to get that stuff because you guys are working on that auto cage, is it what it's called?
yeah, like auto cage or recaging kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we had to wait for those new bodies until you guys had made that for the auto cage to actually work on the new stuff, is it
Yeah.
worth waiting?
So this is like a huge difference. So that's a good point. So the person who would work on recaging is not the same person who would just work on the character assets. So like those would be like our artist and content team, right? Recaging would be a lot of actual dev work combined with technical artists, like working together to get that to be appropriate. It'd be a huge effort and take a lot, like a lot of resources. It wouldn't, but that's the thing, it would actually be different people than the people who are doing the actual like character design and stuff. So
But
they wouldn't be mutually exclusive.
the goal would be that even old armor would be recageable, not just new armor.
Yeah, well, like yeah, I mean that would like ideally, right? Like you would want it to go retroactive back. Like the potential of that. Like it would all depend on like how that investigation would go, right? Like this we can implement this, but it's really only implementable going forward if we build these things from scratch this way, or is it like it's easy, we can just convert all our old stuff over to, this recaging thing. Um, I mean, it really just depends on, if and when that, investigation happens, like what the end result ends up being. Um, so
Because I
yeah,
was saying, like, I would be
yeah,
willing to wait for the new characters if it meant that the new characters' clothing would eventually be able to be used on other characters. But
yep,
if it's going to be if it would hopefully be transferable anyway, then I may as well bring on the characters now.
yeah. I mean, that's like, yeah, I don't think that would. It's very different workflows or whatever. So I mean, that's a very um, sorry, this thing just stopped doing what it was supposed to be doing. Um, yeah, it's just different workflows. It's different people on working on different problems. So I don't think it would really affect each other really.
All right. Let's see. The next thing was there were a few requests before the stream started. I guess we can roll through those. Uh, Charge him a laser was curious if it was possible to ever implement a feature where you could have the at screen position tile work with props and effects, so you didn't have to attach um, an object to a camera and have it be at the position that you want it to be.
So using the like app position like camera. I know what you're saying.
so that you could position something via UI even though it wasn't a UI element.
Yep. That's a good idea. I have done UI stuff too, and just, character, what have you, and yeah, trying to get things to stay like, props to stay in a consistent camera space is difficult.
Hmm.
I would argue though, because it's not like impossible and because there's workarounds, that there definitely would be other stuff we'd work on first. Um, that definitely though, that request, please make it in the feature request forum, just because that one, I don't remember reading it actually in our feature request stuff. So I don't know if it's ever been like officially put in the forum or not.
So it
Uh,
hasn't actually been tabulated. Yeah.
yeah, so that would be a great one to put on the forum and have people start talking about it. Because yeah, that one I don't remember on our list, honestly. We're very much going by that list, like we're at least trying to hit on that list. So like as you know, still, so we got deleting variables in, which was like number one, and then we're still kind of working on editing and things like that.
Which is part 1B.
Yeah, so I mean, we want to actually, when we want to check that off our list, we want it to have the stuff that you guys want in there. And then actually, this is cool news. This is the first time I get to share this. So autosave has also been a very high complaint and about the frequency of autosave and how it like freezes your game and all that. And then there's been questions about like, can I get the increment to change? Can I set it to 10 minutes? Can I set it to 20 minutes? There's been requests to have it get turned off. So right now, so there's obviously like all those things would be great, right? To have that full thing. They do take a lot of work, but we're right now like internally testing a 15-minute autosave length. If that proves to be fruitful and everybody likes it and thinks that's a good length here at the team, we are going to push that out with title update 15. Um, and what that would mean is you would still save for sure when you go to test mode every time, but then it would only auto update, auto save, right? Every 15 minutes instead.
So even
And
before, so would it be able to just turn off autosave in general?
yeah, so what you're saying, like the turn off and the incremental, like what I said, so those are all possible. Those all would just take longer to like it takes longer to put in that option to turn it on and off. There's not, it
Would
would
it
take longer
ever
to put in the
autosave, or
option.
would it still autosave before going to test mode?
It would always, so our game has to save before going to test mode.
Okay.
There's no option to go to test mode without saving basically, because it saves like the state of the world at that point, right? And then that's how it knows to return back to that world when you're done testing. Like it has to save before you go to test. But that to me, that actual save prior to test mode is not the annoying one. The annoying one is when I leave a brain after I've been in there for 6 minutes coding and I hit that like auto save that keeps me there for 10 seconds frozen. And I know like experience can be different for sure between PC and Xbox. Xbox should be takes a little bit longer. People who have larger worlds will definitely know the pain. Brian was talking about how he has a world that he's been working on for a long time, and it takes a minute almost for him to save. So imagine an autosave that happens every 3 minutes, and for a minute it's saving.
And it's
Uh,
still counting the timer while it's saving.
I don't know if it counts it or not, the timer
He
actually.
did. He said that,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, so that is like insane, right? And like a terrible workflow. So you're every 4 minutes you're getting 2 minutes of productivity time. We don't want that. So we think a 15-minute autosave now is a good time. And actually just to kind of share this with you guys too, we're in a very good place now where we think we can do that because Project Spark runs pretty runs pretty well. We have a really good crash rate, so that's just basically for launches. It's a number basically that lets us know how often the game's crashing for our users, and we've gotten some fixes and that's improved that pretty dramatically. And so we're pretty safe and we want to keep it that way, but we're comfortable now. Like 15 minutes is a good amount of time for that. That's why I used to say, I mean, it's partially the reason why it was every 3 minutes because we don't want anybody to lose their work And then obviously, as projects, I mean, it's been 3 minutes since beta when, you would crash a lot more often. And so you would rely on those autosaves to keep your work. So, but we've been past launch now. The game's in a lot more stable condition. So that 15 minutes should be. We're hoping that there's no problems internally and we can roll that out to everybody because I think that'll be way less annoying.
And I'm also reminded, even before edit variables, the top community request was getting rid of the transitioning camera when editing, going to properties of a prop.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to
Which
rotate the camera, now it just zooms.
Yep. Yeah, that was I don't even know if we how much we like publicly talked about that. It was just not too bad of a change we were able to address with where when you would when you're in edit mode and you'd like go in onto a character and go to properties, it would do this whole like to the front of the character and it would be kind of disorienting a lot. So all it does now is we'll like zoom in on it from where you were at. It's a lot nicer. Um, and I don't think anybody, it was a question whether or not the Zoom would be annoying, but I think for the most part, nobody minds the Zoom too much.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
the
like,
zoom is so much more tolerable.
yeah. So kind of, just so you guys are like thinking the same way that we're thinking about it. So like that camera twit thing, the autosave, the editable, deletable features, we we we're advertising and we're like talking about them and we're celebrating them. That's great. We don't consider those like our big pillar features by any means. We have like there's like two tiers running. So there's like the big features which we're working on, and then
Such
there's
as?
the yeah, and then there is the layer of basically of community requests that we always want to be, working on. We never want to stop. Like, we want to always be addressing. And obviously, right, that list is not short, and it would take us a very long time to get and clean out the whole list of requests. But we do want to really hit on those like, on those issues and make just creation better for everybody. Or just, the experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to create. But we are like we're hitting those things for sure.
So you guys, you would even just now glossed over the big features that you guys are working on. Is there is there a reason why you guys haven't told us yet, or is that what you guys are coming up with at the end of the month, or
End of the month, the end of month announcements, a lot of cool things. Still not going to talk about necessarily all those big features. Um, Yeah, I mean, and the reason we're not talking about them yet is they're still not ready. I mean, we're like kind of with those bigger some of those bigger features, they're pretty big features. So it's more it's kind of longer cycle than um
the
you
artist
guys would
pack?
probably think about. Yeah, they're large, yeah, they're pretty big ideas. So we're really excited for them, but it just takes time. Like we've talked about with you guys, right? You guys kind of have seen our process develop when I think a couple, 3 months ago, we were talking about, so when I was only here for a month, I was talking about how like we're in these roadmap discussions, right, about where's Project Spark's going to go next and all these types of things. And we're past that phase now. We're kind of like, this is what we want to do. And we actually have people working on those things now. But, it obviously takes time to have those things get ironed out and work properly and get implemented and be implemented in the right way. Um, a lot of things that has to go through, especially when the stuff that we're working on.
So this
So,
was like a result of the earlier changes we were talking about in the earlier episode, like shifting from play focus to
yep,
create
it's definitely
focus.
like part of it. Like we're ramping up. Like there's no secret to we've shared in the state of Sparks. How we're hiring. We're still hiring devs, which is obviously people who we're hiring to bring on to work on like the features in question.
So which
Uh,
positions are still open at the moment?
we are still looking for devs.
That's
We're
C++. plus plus.
still, yeah. Um, I know we have hired a few though, which is great news. But I know there should be. I don't think they're all filled yet. I'm pretty sure they're not for dev positions. And then we're looking for a UI artist too. That was in the most recent State of Spark, I believe. And
I didn't think so. Oh, it is now.
oh, well, there you go. And Does it? I can't remember. Is there a producer position? And now I don't know if we've said that on the forums or not, but we're also doing a producer
Nope.
position. But I
Those last two weren't in publicly uh, announced, as far as I know.
okay. Well,
Well, now we
we
know
said
that
them
you
on
guys are looking for a
SparkCast.
producer and for a UI artist.
Yeah.
So have you reached out to Nini? Because I think like she is like the consummate artist of the community.
I honestly, I know we have asked her to send in her like resume and her like work and stuff. So I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if she sent it over to Brian and he got it to the art team or not. But if you're listening, you should do it. That's all I'll say about
Or
that.
anybody else who is experienced with
Yeah, I
Photoshop.
actually have. So with the UI, I know we've definitely said the UI artist one because now that I think about it, I've gotten like a couple resumes on that, and I've sent them over to the art team.
Okay.
So and that they weren't me, but yeah, it was like two. I think I've gotten two artists for the UI position.
And
And it's also kind of UX stuff too.
what does the producer actually do on the team?
Uh, Got it. Other than bell smashing,
Yes.
that's funny. So producer's job is like they handle the basically the pipeline. Depends on what we have different producers who basically watch over different things. So we have like producers who are more on content focused. So that's making sure like content is going to finish on time to get released to you guys. So it's going
So
to
they're
hit on
managers.
yeah, they basically manage like through the different teams. I mean, it's different because they're not like
They're not superiors,
they're,
but they're managers.
yeah, that's like it's kind of a producer, I think, like in managing like implies right the supervisor, but that's not how it is. It's like the person who works alongside you to make sure you're staying in scope with the job and that we're gonna deliver the like what we're going to do. And we like me and Brian work really closely with the producers because they also have really good they're the people who kind of see the overarching vision right of what the team's like this person's working on this person working on this person was working on that but they have like the overarching kind of view of what this is all moving toward and so like the community right so we're the liaison between you guys and the devs and the content team the artists so we're like this is what they want and so we work with the devs to make sure that overarching or the producers sorry we work with the producers to make sure that overarching vision is like coming together with and has really good wish fulfillment for you guys and for and it really delivers on what it needs to be a good pack.
All right. Did you get that memo?
Which memo?
The one that says to make sure you could put a cover page on your TPS letter.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my TPS report.
Oh, you're not a fan of Office Space?
I am a fan of Office Space.
Okay. Just want
I
to make sure you
know.
got the reference. All right.
Yep.
All right. So moving
Yeah,
back,
whatever he says.
there were a couple lore questions. I guess we'll knock those off. One, does a spark always know as a spark according to official lexicon? And two, um, do the sci-fi and fantasy realms happen at the same time, or are they past and future?
That is a who asked that question about the time and future?
That was Kraken.
Oh, that's really funny. That's funny because there is a joke about that in Sparkisode. Yes, so realms and galaxies are actually at the same time. There isn't a future and a past.
Oh, kind of like
Uh,
a Star Wars happens in a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago.
yeah, so it's yeah, it's concurrent. So it's just where the worlds are, where the I guess the universes are at are in different places, but it's not it's not like a future or past. There's no time travel between them. It's just going to different realms. So
All
it's
right.
like thinking like, if we're like modern time right now or whatever, then there would be, you could jump and go to a galaxy and and think about you'd actually show up and it would be like the medieval times or whatever. Of course, like I'm in the mindset if you did that in real life though, you wouldn't be discovering humans, you'd be discovering something totally different.
Unless we, at one point, did what they did in Battlestar Galactica, which is repopulate the galaxy by spreading out and all that stuff,
Yeah, right.
before being chased down by Cylons.
Yeah. And what was it? This is me going
Spark always a
was
spark.
no What movie is it? The Prometheus, which is like
No,
part of the Alien.
that was awful.
Yeah, you did not like Prometheus?
It
I
was one
love
of the worst
Prometheus.
movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, what is wrong with you? Prometheus is
No,
great.
here's the thing. If you love plot holes, Prometheus is for you. And
There was definitely some plot holes.
if you like terrible writing, Prometheus is for you. If you like things that don't make any sense and have no logical basis between why the movie started and how it progressed, Prometheus is for you. If you like people running in a straight line away from something that's rolling towards them, Prometheus is for you.
That see, you like brought up like three already perfect like problems in that movie. My favorite is when with no spoilers is when she just is like running through the ship and she just randomly like comes to that door that would not be open for any reason. And it's just like, "Oh, okay. This person is on board this ship apparently."
My favorite part was when she had abdominal surgery and then ran a marathon and climbed.
After the fact.
Yes, immediately following the surgery. Your abdomen's torn in half, but hey, you're sewed up, you're good now.
Yeah, that's some pretty quick rejuvenation. Maybe she's like Wolverine or something.
Yeah, I don't think that was the plot. I think that she was Ripley's daughter, not Wolverine. Though I may be getting mixed up because I just hated it so much. Maybe that was one of the plot points that I missed.
You're right.
I went to
Yeah,
see it with a friend once.
there was some really good stuff in it. Like I would not like
Charlize
as
Theron was
quickly
the
as you.
highlight of that, and she was even a dumb character.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was still a good flick. Like I don't know. I can forgive movies like a good movie that I had like the hardest time forgiving, which this is like the movie I don't like that everybody loves is Avatar. I just did not like Avatar like at
No, it
all.
was terrible.
It was so
It looked nice, but it was terrible.
yeah, it looked good, but like that I thought the story was so generic and so
Dances with Wolves in Space.
yeah, or Pocahontas or any
Yeah,
of them. Like I don't know. That was like I was like this is Pocahontas like just with better graphics.
and they did some really bad techniques of like trying to stereotype. Like in the one of the meeting halls, they had the humans have two giant lugs of stupidity sitting front and center. Like little stupid things where they play on emotion rather than actually try to have any reason behind what's going on.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I just was like, that was like the movie I was not impressed with.
I think if you're a fan of Red Letter Media, they do a great job of tearing that movie apart.
I'll have to look at that.
In fact, they do a great job of tearing every movie apart that they do.
Yeah, hopefully they don't get their hands on Sparkisodes, because
They're pretty awful, right?
I'm sure that'll have plenty of plot holes too.
Well, Machinima is a bit more forgiving than something that costs $10 to go to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hopefully, I'm really excited for Sparkisode to go out. I can't believe we're calling it Sparkisode. That's so like bad in a way, but it's kind of charming. I don't know.
Yeah, as long as you have a robot head in there somewhere, that's a character. Like in Red versus Blue, he's my favorite character.
The head? Well,
Yeah.
he's not a head for like the whole series or
No,
whatever.
but for the best parts, he was.
Mm. Yeah, that's the you're talking about the robot guy, right?
Yeah, the one that
He's
speaks in Spanish.
hmm
No, no lo siento,
Yeah. No comprendo or comprende or
no
whatever.
comprende. Sí, señor. Okay. And let's see, was there any other topics? Um, so we're just close to the end, so if there's any questions from the audience, feel free to start asking, and I'll get them in beforehand, before the end. Um, Lopez, yeah,
Yep,
was
Lopez.
is there any news as far as Windows 10 goes? Because it's like a week away.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were gonna ask that. So Win 10,
Announcement to become later, or what?
I'm trying to think of how to word this. I mean, okay, so for anybody who's been in like, so I'm gonna go with like general understanding of Windows 10, and for people who like know how this is gonna work. because I want to be able to explain this, but I'm going to do it a roundabout way. So so anybody who's been on the insider program of Win 10, they know that there's like a store, right, and they you can like download
Yeah,
Project
it's already
Spark.
been announced on this forecast that it's going to work.
Yeah, yeah. Project Spark's going to work on Windows 10 for sure. So you're not gonna have a problem there. And we're making sure everything's gonna get lined up. Hopefully no problems, but whatever, we'll see. And it is a giant, operating software and a huge move, huge thing for Microsoft for Win 10. So we're being part of Microsoft, we're all looking forward to that. Um, so regardless, as far as like changes for Spark, nothing to like announce on that front for sure. It's going to be the same Spark that's running like on your Windows 8.1 right now is going to be the same Spark that's going to be running on like your Windows 10 device. Um, it's gonna be really cool because with the free update and stuff, we're really hoping that a lot of those people who are not wanting to upgrade to Windows 8 but stayed on Windows 7, they're gonna make that jump and then be able to jump on Spark. We're thinking that's going to be really cool, and probably we're going to see some new users on that front. Um, we're going to do some cool things around, those new users coming, and that's part of like the stuff we're going to talk about at the end of July. Um, no, so but like don't expect any new features coming right, immediately with Windows 10. There's cooler stuff like later with Windows 10 that we definitely want to like take advantage of and do, but it's not going to be like ready for launch. But you'll definitely be able to play Project Spark on your Win 10 device. Is that hopefully that is satisfactory for anybody who had questions on Win 10?
So
Yes.
people
So
are
so
asking about PC multiplayer,
yeah,
and you're saying
yeah. So
eventually, but
that
not
very
immediately.
specifically, like PC multiplayer, that is not going to be a feature of Project Spark when 10 goes live. With Xbox Live and all this kind of stuff starting to get baked into Windows 10 directly. And we've seen like right there's the announcement of like cross-platform play with like League of Legends and stuff. Um,
Lionhead Studios game Fable.
yeah, Fable Legends. Uh, there's definitely like potential there. We, I'll like honestly admit we because of the other all this other crazy stuff we're working on. Like, there's definitely like investigations, but we're still early in the process on building. So with and Windows 10, it's a universal Windows app. Basically is like the new thing, right? And that works like across like the devices and is like the new standard for an app is these universal apps. And we would need to build one up, basically. And that's something we want to do, for sure. But we're not there yet and not going to have one ready for launch.
Okay.
If that's
And
fair. If that hopefully that answers everybody.
well, it makes sense to me, but yeah. Um, a question that is near and dear to my heart: is there any plans to make collaboration easier?
Yeah, I mean I
It doesn't have to be related to a multiplayer, but
yeah, exactly. That stuff is like on our feature request stuff and we're tracking it. Those are pretty big. That's a big problem and definitely needs a solution. Um, Collaboration is tough, right? And there's like a combination of like, right, so the feeds aren't good. They're not conducive to collaborations because it won't adequately show. There's the idea of contribution value and how like it adequately or not divides how much people worked on a project. There is just the actual interacting with the person, whether it's that multiplayer, passing it back a world privately. Um, I think those are probably the big three pillars of the problem.
encoding code comments so you can actually describe what's
Yeah,
going
code
on.
comments is like another really good example. So like that whole ball of collaboration stuff, I think it's probably something that'll get attacked like by piecemeal. So we'll like it's probably not going to be like all at once, like here's all the collaboration stuff. But those are like kind of those are definitely on our radar and stuff we want to be able to like hit on and do. I kind of feel like the way that the collaboration stuff's going to go out is the exact same way that our feed improvements have gone out. Um, so we've like been very slowly improving feeds, but it does take time. to kind of weed through and go through all that stuff. But anyway, regardless, like the way that feed improvements have kind of gone out and we're experimenting and stuff is I think the same way that collaboration stuff's gonna go out. Of course, like features and things that have to happen with collaboration, those would be kind of packaged differently. But I'm thinking more of like the feed changes and like this probably the smaller lower hanging fruit stuff like setting potentially collaboration value and displaying like all the contributors' names on a project. Those kind of hopefully would be lower hanging fruit compared to bigger stuff like privately sharing a world or what have you.
So I think me and Brian covered this a few weeks ago. As far as being able to search UGC by gamer tag, that's something that you guys are looking into, and it'll
Yep,
be done when it's done.
yep. That is a feed improvement that is on our services guys' radar. So that's on there. The biggest one is like knowing what contribution value is in the feeds. That's going to be like the biggest win when we get that actually implemented. So the way that we go through the feeds and actually organize it, we'll be able to know basically judge if things are remix besides like a kill all switch, right? Which we have right now with remixes. Like remix, it's either you're in the feed or you're out of the feed. And now remixes are like in all of the feeds except for like three, which if we turn that on in the three feeds that don't have remixes, um, it would be scary for everybody. And those are that's new and rising, uh, top rated 7 days, and
Top
I
rated all
can't.
time.
No, that one has remixes in it now. It might just be those two now, actually. I'm trying to think if there's another one I'm missing. Everything else has remixes, actually, and allows remixes. So all of those will, if you accidentally saved as new project or anything like that, those will all show up those will all your worlds will show up there now. It's only, I think, New and Rising and top rated 7 days. But if we did turn on remixes in those, it would end up looking a lot like newest. It would look like a lot like the newest feed before Brian or I came in the morning and were able to kind of filter through it. Um, and that's obviously not a great experience for those feeds. We don't want those feeds to be like that. But once we're able to get our contribution value measurement into the feed filtering, it's going to help dramatically and save us a bunch of time every day.
All right. So last question is from Maple asking, was Spark always a Spark? If you don't actually know, you can just say answer yes or no.
Yeah, so like sparks are like basically the way to think of sparks are like the children of the creation well. So they're not like a creature turned into a spark. So I mean they're kind of I guess they're like like a fragment of the creation well or like a part of it. They're like imbued with the energy of the creation well. Obviously they're not as powerful as the creation well. But they're kind of a yeah, I guess a good way to say
Right,
is a
because
fragment of
the
it.
Sparks have to do the coding, whereas the Creation Well doesn't have to. It's like he has Cortana doing the coding for him.
He just speaks and it happens, and
Yeah.
then the sparks have to work. I mean, yeah, I guess that's one way to think about it.
All right. So thanks everybody for joining. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us this week, and we will see you tomorrow. You're gonna be doing the Sparkisode.
Yeah, so let me run through real quick just the schedule for everybody. So tomorrow, that's a big stream. Don't want to miss it. 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. We're doing the world premiere of Sparkisodes. We're announcing the names and maybe some of the content of both packs, upcoming packs. One in 2 weeks, one in, or actually it's sooner than that. The other one is in, I don't even know. I'm so confused now. Yeah, the other one's like 2 weeks, and the other one's like 4 weeks. Um, Void Corruptor was like just last week. That's crazy. Um, and then so yeah, so we'll do the announcement there. We'll announce the winner of the space tanks, and then that should be pretty much it. We'll start working on episode 2 of Sparkisodes, and you'll kind of have a lot better idea of what Sparkisodes is like after seeing the episode. So that'll be really cool. We'll ask questions on stream, and we'll also present the next community challenge to what to build. And then on Friday, we'll do another edition of Play This Creation. That's at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Special guest.
Uh, huh?
Special guest.
Potentially this week. We got to check in on that actually. We usually confirm up on Thursday, the day prior. I think we do have someone, but I can't remember who it is. Um, but we'll see. They're fun either way, yes or no, if we get somebody. But hopefully we do. Yeah, and so tune in, see if your creation gets played or not. Be pretty awesome. A good chance, a good way for your level to be played slash featured or what have you. Make sure you're posting in the weekly top levels of the week.
Only
Uh,
if it's not your own level.
if it's not your own level, so it's something you played. Which, just saying, you guys all should be pretty passionate now about playing. I think UGC, because UGC is so good now. Like, definitely spend some time every week because it's like always inspirational. And like you get ideas for your stuff. Like, I mean, I almost like I spend like 80 to 90% of my time in play now. But yeah, so you guys always should be doing that. Just saying. I think it's always like a good break from creating. Um, so yeah, so recommend highly posting to that. And yeah, so we'll play stuff there. Anything else?
Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday stream. Still have not decided on a topic yet, but I'll be running that stream for sure. So I will be deciding a topic, but not announced yet. Well, maybe we'll know tomorrow's stream. I'll let you guys know for the education. But so there
Best
you
use
go.
of
I think that's the
booleans.
full rundown.
Have an entire stream about booleans. I'm sure that would go over great.
This is true. You could probably do it and use them in interesting ways, but Booleans they're so crucial to everything else that we do. We use Boolean in every single education stream.
Yeah, it's just whenever I get a question in .org chat, it's usually use a boolean is the answer.
Booleans allow you to break stuff down quite a bit, so that's why I think it's helpful. But yeah, you can also have definitely an over reliance on Booleans. That is definitely a problem that I've seen people have. I definitely have had that problem. So you're just like, I'll make a Boolean. Oh, I'll keep making Booleans. This Booleans will solve all my problems.
Well, you could also use number variables if you wanted to have it be a switch instead of a binary.
Yeah, that exactly.
I
Yep.
actually did that for my naming convention for one of the things. So if it's equal to this, else if it's equal to this, else if it's equal to this, and went down all the way to figure out the random names of characters.
Yeah, that's
I put
cool. That's
way
a
too
good way
much
to
effort into that.
do it. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. No, should be cool. I'm looking forward. If there is a sticky topic on suggested stuff for tutorial streams too, so feel free to post in there. I'll definitely take a look at that as I'm deciding on a topic. So yeah, should be really cool. And that should cover everything that I need to talk about. Um, yep.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks Thomas, and we will see you all next week at the
Cool.
same time, place, etc.
Yep.
Night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, so what's the name of the next pack? The one that's note related.
Oh, I'm not giving you that. Nope. That people can tune in for sure
No, I
on.
stopped recording just now. You heard the button click, right?
You know the name then. So I don't even you you know the name if you stopped actually recording. And I have the stream up and I see it still happening.
All right, guys, I tried. Good night.
And you should keep doing a shout out by the way for your shirts.
Oh, right, shout out for the shirts. Buy shirts at projectspark.org, project-spark.org.
You should be doing that every stream.
I'll probably be making like more like once a month or so, but the first batch is done.
Yeah, I bought 3 of them, so they think they shipped already.
Yeah, you should wear them on the stream so people can know how awesome they are.
I mean I am planning on I will be wearing those shirts like every day we have a stream. I there's gonna be no excuse. I'll have that plus my just normal standard Spark shirt.
Okay then, and I'll try again next week, guys. I will. All right, later.
We're revealing a lot, so I'm not as inclined to talk tonight because so much is happening tomorrow.
Oh, thanks. It shows a lot of confidence you have in the Sparkcast. You can't even
What?
give us 24-hour notice. What's wrong with you? All right, all right. I'm clicking the stop button.